Hello, everyone. This is Sinema77, horror and cult film lover. I'm back with another movie review. And today we're going to talk about John Waters' pretty controversial comedy. We're going to talk about A Dirty Shame. I'm pretty sure probably people's in there thinking, like, you're talking about John Waters' comedy. You think you're going to talk about something like Pink Flamingos or Female Trouble or something like that. But it's like, no, we're going to talk about his 2004 movie, A Dirty Shame, which, as far as I know, unfortunately, I think this was the last movie he made. I don't know. I mean, you still see John Waters. He's still relevant. He appears in a lot of movies. You see him in TV shows and things like that. But yeah, unfortunately, I think this is the last movie he wrote and directed. So um, the movie, as far as I know, it's all about. I think he got the idea when he started researching fetishes and kinks that people have, and you know. That's a good question. Do you have any kinks? Do you have any like fetishes or anything like that? No, but actually, that's what ended up inspiring him to make the movie was that he started reading magazines and things like that, and he started hearing about all these different kinds of different fetishes. He heard about like I forget the name of it, but there's like people who have a sexual attraction to dirt, sploshing, where people pour like food on themselves. They get a sexual thrill out of that. Let's see what else. Rim jobs, people who are obsessed with feet, like Quentin Tarantino, things like that. Let's see what else was there. Uh, People who are obsessed with oral sex, just all different kinds of things, stuff. Golden showers, things like that. So he decided he wanted to make a movie about it, and the movie concerns. You got basically here. You got your stars Tracy Ullman, the comedian, and she's playing Sylvia Stickles. Her husband is Vaughn, played by the singer Chris Isaac, right there, and their daughter's Caprice, right there, played by Selma Blair. Now they're living in this household, and the movie starts out, like you see that Vaughn is very pent up sexually, that Sylvia is very pent up sexually and stuff. Um, she bursts in on him in the bathroom, and she sees him looking at porn. She's disgusted by it, and he's trying to explain to her that it's like I'm only human. A man has needs and things like that. And but she's like, I got to get to work, and I'm pissed off at our daughter, because our daughter's uh, basically dancing at this like biker club and stuff like that, and she's got this guy. His name's Fat Fuck Frank, who's always I'm not making that up. That's the character's name, and he's always coming around, and he's always like in love with her and in love with her, and the big reason why is because, as you see there, she's got these enormous breasts there, which now is really funny. So, but in case if you're wondering, see, here's like Selma Blair in the movie, and I just thought that was funny. I can't help it; it cracks me up. It makes me laugh when I see that. But of course, see, where's a good see? Here's like Selma Blair in just regular life. So, and you see, she's pretty much your beautiful, I don't want to say regular, but she is a beautiful woman. But anyway, so they're grounding Caprice, and Sylvia's like, I can't deal with all this. I got to go to work and everything else. And so she's on her way to work, and she gets into an accident, and she gets the attention of Ray Ray, who is Johnny Knoxville's character. And Johnny Knoxville, sees her. She gets hit on the head, and he decides that she's like the chosen one or something like that. So they go, and it looks like they're going to help her out, and they're checking. Okay, her car is fine, but then Ray Ray decides he's going to really help Sylvia out by giving her oral sex, and Sylvia is very thankful for that, and she gets a lot of that pent up energy stuff released, and she feels a lot better and stuff. So you see, she's not all tense and everything like she was. And he tells her that he's all like come with us, and uh, we'll help you and your husband find new ways of love and sex and this and that and all this other kind of stuff, things you never imagined. Come learn from us and everything else. Well, so she goes to work, and she's feeling a whole lot better. And I believe it's Chris Isaac's mother, Big Ethel. She's kind of if there really was kind of the moral center of the movie, I guess it would be her, because she's the one who's wanting people to be, to control themselves, and conduce themselves better in public. and she's got a friend, Marge the Neuter, played by Mink Stole, who's everybody knows. You know, if you watch any of John Waters' movies, Mink Stole is a regular. She's in pretty much every one of John Waters' movies. She always works with him, and so they're talking about how people are being perverts and how things are going wrong, and they really need to have a meeting to figure out what to do about this and everything. And so they, they're managing a store, and one of the guy, I forget the kid's name, but he turns out he's the one who's like sexually attracted to dirt and garbage and stuff like that. And she sees it, like he's into it, and she's starting to catch on. She's kind of like, okay, yeah, I'm not judging anymore. It's like I see these people, they all have their thing, and she's like, I found out what mine is pretty much, and I believe it's called Cunnilingus Bottom. I think that's what she calls it. But anyway, so she, yeah, I'm sorry. I think Edna's her mom. Anyway, it doesn't matter. But so anyway, Vaughn comes in, and she's all like, would you like to have funch? It's like he's like, what's that? And it's like fucking after lunch. So and so they're getting ready to go out, and he's all like, well, we got to go visit. I think it's like we got to go visit my grandmother or something at the nursing home or whatever else. And some of the lines are just in this movie are hysterically funny. Like they're getting ready to leave, and Ming Stoll's character is all like, oh guys, don't go outside. There's pubic hair in the air. So, but anyway, just so they go out, and you know she asks Vaughn, please do it again. Go down on me. She wants to have another round, and so he goes down on her, and stuff. And so they go to the nursing home, and you got this really really funny scene where everybody's doing the hokey pokey, and so Vaughn and Sylvia, they decide, just for fun, that they'll start doing it too. And so they start doing the hokey pokey, and it's pretty funny. And then what ends up happening is Sylvia decides to put on a real show, and she puts a water bottle in the middle of the room, and she starts lowering herself, lowering herself, lowering herself. Basically, she pretty much kind of impales herself on the water bottle, so everybody's freaking out, and she's dancing the hokey pokey. She got a water bottle hanging out of her. But so she kind of runs off, and everybody's kind of like freaking out, trying to figure out what to do and all this stuff. And so Sylvia, she goes and she gets some new clothes, and she gets makeup and everything else. Of course, she looks kind of, she doesn't look. Don't get me wrong, Tracy Ullman she is a beautiful looking woman, but just kind of like the way her character makes herself up, you could tell her character is a woman who's never really like done anything with makeup or dressing up or any of that kind of stuff. So she looks kind of sloppy with it. But her thing is she wants to go out, and she wants to just have sexual encounters and stuff like that. Not that she doesn't love her husband, but she just she's kind of going insane. Kind of like that's really what it is. A lot of it is just all these years of being sexually pent up. It's becoming unleashed. But most people would say, it's like, well, if you're going to do that with your husband. So, but in this case, is the reason why it's kind of like Vaughn is kind of a little bit more of a, even though he enjoys sex with his wife and stuff, you can see he's a little bit more old fashioned. He's not really as open minded. And so Sylvia, she goes to Ray Ray's garage, and he introduces her to like, I believe her name is Linda, and she's like the cop, and she's talking about, I fucked the entire police force. And they find out about all these, they start finding out about these fetishes, like adult babies. They start finding out about like other stuff, like plate jobs, what a plate job is. If you know this is going to be very educational for you folks. But yeah, plate job is usually like somebody lays underneath a glass table, and then somebody stands over the glass table, and they take a dump on the table, and the person underneath watches. So when somebody says, plate job, when someone says under, that means you laid under the table. Over means you're the one who took the dump on the table. Find out about blossoms, which basically is like these kind of like almost like cauliflower things you get. John Waters was like, yeah, I'm not big on this one. It's like, I don't blame him. It sounds gross to me too. Where somebody gets these kind of like almost like cauliflower looking uh whatever on the outside of your anus from fisting and stuff like that. So it just sounds, that one I admit sounds pretty gross. But she's learning about all these different fetishes and things like that. And um so she's, he's all like, go out and try to educate and everything else. And your daughter, she's one of us, she's liberated like us and everything else. So she goes and talks to her daughter, and her daughter's like, oh my god, you met Ray Ray and all this stuff. And she's like, I'm sorry honey, I didn't understand. And she's all like, yeah, fat fuck Frank, he really loves your big tits and all that stuff. So they're going out and they're having fun and everything else. And so you know at one point Sylvia, she gets hit on the head again. She's kind of starting to go back into her old ways again, where she's starting to, oh my god, this is all horrible and stuff. And so Vaughn and them, they're Vaughn and Big Ethel, they take Sylvia and Caprice home. And so they're doing this kind of like an intervention type of thing. And so they're sitting there and they're talking about they need help and everything else. And Caprice is like, mom, come on, and so so she takes the remote, throws it at Sylvia, hits her in the head, hoping it's gonna knock her back into where she was before. And then Sylvia's like, I'm sorry honey, it doesn't work that way and stuff. So well, so they're gonna eventually, Caprice, she ends up being kind of transformed into a neuter as well. And so they end up um, they end up taking her to church and everything, and they're going to take her to a Sex Anonymous meeting. So they go to the Sex Anonymous meeting, and then they meet other people who have other types of fetishes and things. They meet this couple who, their sexual fetishes, they're into throwing up on each other, vomiting on each other. I know there's a name for it. I can't remember the names of all these fetishes, I admit. But and then they meet a guy named Ronnie the Rimmer, which my brother Ronnie, when he was alive, yeah, he really appreciated that. Ronnie the Rimmer. But man who's into giving rim jobs and things like that. And so they're talking about they need to they need to pretty much they need to cleanse themselves and they need to be better people and stuff. And so they're starting their thing. And then Ray Ray and his bunch, they show up and they're talking about, no, you guys need to be sexually liberated and everything else, and Vaughn is like, how dare you? You were with my wife and everything else. He's like, Vaughn is like, I'm not trying to take your wife away from you. I love you. I want you to, I just want both you and your wife to have the best, um, I just want you two to have the best life together and stuff like that. And he's all like, don't you dare call it love and everything else. And so there's a scuffle and all this stuff. And Caprice, she gets hit on the head again. And so she's going to go back to being, her ways and all that stuff. And then pretty much, Sylvia, she's, going back into her ways again and stuff. And pretty much what's going to happen is, pretty much chaos and anarchy is just going all over this small town. And there is a little bit of, female nudities, a little bit of male nudity as well. And it's almost, it kind of, in a way, it's almost like the funny version of David Cronenberg's movie Shivers, in that all of a sudden now everybody acts like sex maniacs and everybody's just running around crazy and having all different kinds of sex and everything else. And like you got what they call the neuters, people like Vaughn or people like Big Ethel or something that they're just all they're trying to get away from everybody. And they're in the store, they're fighting and all this other kind of stuff. And at one point, Marge the neuter, she ends up getting rimmed by Ronnie the Rimmer. And so now she's kind of converted into the everybody, with the sexually liberated people and stuff like that. And so all this other kind of stuff is going on. And Big Ethel, eventually she ends up becoming converted. And there's even a funny scene where there's a plane flying overhead. And um, yeah, you have David Hasselhoff, he's making a little cameo appearance. And so he goes and he's going into the bathroom and he, uses the toilet. Well, apparently his leavings come out of the plane and everything else. And one of them hardens into a rock and it hits Vaughn on the head. And then Vaughn is, now he's converted, and he's all like, hey, honey, could I have some lunch downtown and all this? And they're talking about Vaughn, it's time for the new thing, the new The new thing that's going to really sexually liberate everybody, and they're all everybody starts headbutting each other pretty much, and that's kind of like the new way. Yeah, and then pretty much at the end of the movie, everybody's pretty much like this whole small Baltimore town. They're all everybody's now converted to being sexually liberated and stuff like that, and everybody's just having all these great orgasms and things like that. So, and pretty much it's like a happily ever after. Everybody just having a good time getting off, and so. But I mean, anyway, I do like this movie. I think it's a lot of fun. It's a John Waters comedy. Um there is a thing though, I think for a lot of people there was a time where they thought that John Waters was kind of going soft in his comedies, and he was doing movies like Pecker or what else, like Cry Baby or Hairspray or something like that, where his movies were very much more like softer toned and things like that, where he was known for back in the day for being really making these very pushing the envelope, edgy comedies and stuff like that, stuff like Female Trouble or Pink Flamingo, yeah, Pink Flamingos or Polyester or something like that. And I think a lot of people thought, well, I guess he toned it down, kind of like Serial Mom was kind of like well, yeah, it's kind of starting to go that way. But I guess if John Waters decided this was going to be his last movie, he figured he'd go out on a strong one. And the movie is, um, I don't see that there's anything wrong with this movie. Really, it's got an NC-17 mainly. I think because it's just a lot of people can't stand the idea of talking about sexual fetishes and stuff like that. And the movie's not overly sexually explicit. Like I said, there is a little bit of nudity, but I mean not really much of anything to get up in arms about. I've seen movies with R ratings. Hell, I've seen movies from the '80s with PG-13 ratings that had more explicit nudity than this movie has. But I guess just the overall tone of the movie and just talking about all these sexual fetishes and stuff like that. I guess that's what's really got everybody up in arms about it. But anyway, yeah, it's not really a big deal. I mean, unless like you're very offended by the idea of talking about fetishes and stuff like and that sort of thing scares you and you're not into that, then yeah, you probably would want to stay away from this movie. If you're grossed out by that idea, like you don't want to hear about people who, have like a fetish with pee or something like that, then yeah, you really want to steer clear of this. But, I mean, if you just kind of want like a good raunchy comedy and stuff like that, where they just talk about all these kinks and stuff like that, this movie's fine. Like I said, this movie kind of gets, like I said, it's all right. I mean, it's fun. It gets, Johnny Knoxville's funny in the movie. You know, it's funny. He's got this funny like long tongue you see flapping around, and um, yeah, like one part, when Caprice is in her neuter phase, and Fat Fuck Frank is begging to see her tits, and she's talking about like she's gonna get a breast reduction. He's like, no, baby, please, 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 and she's all like, look, she's like, look, Frank, my back hurts, and stuff. Some of the dialogue in this movie is really really funny, and but it's a comedy, so I mean, don't really take it like too seriously or anything like that. And but yeah, I mean, the whole thing just came from John Waters hearing about these kind of different things that people are into and everything. He just wanted to make a movie about it. But so anyway, that's pretty much it. I say go ahead and watch it. The movie's pretty harmless. Nothing really bad about it. I've seen I've seen R-rated comedies and stuff like that, kind of worse than this. And and the thing is too is like the movie's not particularly meant to be offensive or anything. If anything else, it's trying to be more educational, and it's not trying to pass judgment either. It's not trying to say, okay, people who have these fetishes are good or bad. They're just saying, hey, let people have their thing. That's pretty much it. So anyway, that's pretty much going to do it. Yeah, we talked about it. John Waters' movie, A Dirty Shame. If anybody took the time to watch this, I thank you for doing it, and I appreciate you for doing it. I honestly hope you enjoyed the video, and if you did, please like and subscribe. I do weekly videos doing reviews and shelf by shelf of my movie collection, haul videos, things like that. Doing spotlight videos now, spotlight an actress or singer or model every week, and so that's going to be a lot of fun. I'm going to do theme weeks and everything else. Next week's going to be my porn theme week, where review a movie with a porn theme to it. Um, So yeah, come on back. It's like, and I'm gonna go Nuck and Futz in October. I'll tell you that already. I already got a bunch of stuff I want to do for Halloween. So anyway, so that's gonna do it. Again, thank you everybody who watched this, and take care. This is Cinema 77, horror cult film lover. Have a good night. I'll see you later. Bye bye.